Have you ever wondered why? You no longer feel connected to the things that once excited you, why the noise of the world suddenly feels unbearable, and your old life seems like someone else's dream. You're not broken. You're not lost. You're not falling behind. You're ascending. And the strangest part? You might not even realize it. Spiritual ascension isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with miracles or fireworks. It arrives like a soft breeze in the middle of a storm, barely noticeable, but undeniable to the soul. You start to feel like a stranger in your own life. Your body walks the same streets, speaks the same words, wears the same smile, but something invisible inside you has shifted. Suddenly, small talk feels empty, the news irrelevant, the chase for success meaningless, not because you've given up, but because you're waking up. You're no longer seeking what the world promised you. You're craving something deeper, something sacred. This is not depression, it's not burnout, it's not a phase. It's the silent beginning of spiritual ascension. And here's the paradox. You don't ascend by escaping the world, but by remembering who you are, right in the middle of it. You don't need to climb a mountain, join a cult, or leave everything behind. Your soul has already started shifting dimensions. And that subtle vibration you've been feeling, that unexplained sensitivity, that craving for silence, they are signs, not of weakness, but of remembrance. Because ascension doesn't start with light, it starts with dissonance, with discomfort, with the unsettling feeling that something is off, not outside, but within. And when that happens, the ego panics. It tries to hold on. It resists the death of what no longer serves you. But the soul begins to rise, not to another planet, not to another timeline, but to another level of awareness. And when you reach that place, and even for a moment, you begin to see differently, feel differently, breathe differently. You become the observer of your own patterns, your own wounds, your own illusions, and slowly, gracefully, you begin to unhook yourself from everything that was never truly you. In this video, I'm going to show you the 7 signs that your soul is already ascending, even if no one else around you sees it. And most importantly, you'll understand why your path feels so lonely, and why that loneliness is the final gate before liberation. Comment below, I can feel the shift. Let this video be a mirror to what your soul already knows. Because if you're watching this, it's not by accident. You were called. In the next section, we'll explore the first sign, a quiet but powerful shift that almost every awakened soul experiences, and that most people misdiagnose as disconnection. But it's not disconnection, it's initiation. They never tell you this, but the first real sign of ascension doesn't feel like enlightenment. It feels like something inside you is dying. You stop caring about things you used to love. You distance yourself from people you once adored. You look at your life and whisper, "What am I even doing here?" And it scares you, because no one prepares you for this silence. No one tells you that the beginning of remembering often feels like the end of everything else. This is the moment your soul begins to detach from false identities, from inherited beliefs, from programmed dreams that never truly belonged to you. And because the ego built its entire castle on those fragile pieces, it starts to collapse. You feel lost, empty, unmotivated, not because you failed, but because you're freeing yourself. You begin to see the world for what it is, a play of projections, fears, and masks. You see people acting, but not truly living. And then you look at yourself in the mirror, and you can't lie anymore. You know something's changing. You can't go back, but you don't yet know where you're going. This space, or this liminal void between old and new, is sacred. It's called spiritual disintegration, and it's not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. Helena Blavatsky wrote, "Only when the personality dies, the soul remembers. And that remembrance hurts, because you begin to remember the pain you buried, the lies you told yourself, the roles you played to survive. But you also begin to remember your light, your truth, your essence. And that essence doesn't fit in the old version of your life. It doesn't fit in superficial conversations, in repetitive habits, in pretending. So you pull away, not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of clarity. You stop answering texts. You stop forcing smiles. You start spending time in silence, even if that silence feels unbearable at first. But over time, you begin to love it, Not because it's easy, but because it's real. And you realize that this void, this strange emptiness you feared, isn't emptiness at all. It's space. Space for your soul to finally speak. And when it does, you remember things you never learned. You feel truths you never read. You reconnect with a wisdom that was always inside you, just waiting for you to go quiet enough to hear it. Has this happened to you? Have you stopped relating to the world around you? Do old dreams feel lifeless? Do you crave space but don't know why? If yes, don't run, don't try to fix it, don't medicate it away, sit with it, honor it, witness it. You're not falling apart, you're falling out of illusion. And the more you allow the old to die, the more space you create for the new to emerge. This is not depression, it's deprogramming. It's your soul reclaiming its voice. Comment below, I'm dissolving to remember. Your words will echo through the field, and others walking this same path will find comfort in knowing they're not alone. In the next block, we'll uncover the second sign, something subtle but unmistakable, a hypersensitivity to energy, sound, and presence, and how it reveals your rising vibration, even if it makes the world feel overwhelming. You used to move through the world without noticing. Noises, crowds, conversations, screens, stress, it all seemed normal. But suddenly, everything feels too loud, too heavy, too chaotic, too artificial. You walk into a room and instantly feel the weight of unspoken tension. You meet someone's eyes and sense their pain, even when they smile. You hear a song, and it brings tears for no reason. And you wonder, what's happening to me? The answer is simple, but sacred. Your soul is waking up, and your frequency is rising. And with that rise comes a gift that can feel like a burden. Energetic sensitivity. Not the kind of sensitivity you were taught to hide. Not weakness, not fragility. This is something deeper, more ancient, more cosmic. You're beginning to perceive energy directly, raw, unfiltered. You sense dissonance in words, manipulation in smiles, truth in silence. You no longer need explanations. You feel them. And that changes everything. You might start avoiding places you once loved. Crowded malls, loud parties, shallow gatherings, even some family reunions. Not out of arrogance, but because your nervous system can no longer tolerate inauthenticity. You crave peace, stillness, nature, deep connection, or just solitude. And while your mind might resist this transformation, your soul is guiding you back to coherence. It's not always graceful. Sometimes you cry without reason. Sometimes you feel overwhelmed in crowds. Sometimes a simple message drains you for hours. And that's okay. Kardec once wrote, "The more the soul elevates, the less it can remain among the illusions." That's not poetry. It's physics. When your field expands, you begin to vibrate out of sync with much of the world. It's not that the world is wrong. It's that you're tuning to a new frequency. And during this tuning, your body becomes a radar. Your emotions, an oracle, your silence, a sanctuary. So if your senses are heightened, if you're more intuitive, more emotional, more tired after certain interactions, you're not broken. You're becoming transparent. Transparent to energy. Transparent to illusion. Transparent to yourself. And yes, sometimes it's exhausting, because being awake in a sleeping world hurts, but it's also beautiful. Because in that sensitivity, you begin to perceive what others miss. A child's aura, a hidden message in a dream, a sign on the street that only your heart understands. And this is the language of the soul. Tell me, how have you felt it? Do you feel overwhelmed by places that once felt safe? Are you more sensitive to sounds, light, tension, or even smells? Do you cry easily, not from sadness, but from resonance? If so, welcome. You are being attuned to the frequencies of remembrance. It might feel chaotic now, but soon you'll learn to navigate with grace. Because this sensitivity is not a flaw, it's a compass, and it will lead you exactly where you're meant to go. Comment below, I feel everything now. Let your presence anchor this frequency for others who are beginning to awaken. In the next block, we'll dive into the third sign of ascension, the collapse of timelines and sudden shifts, when life starts falling apart, not as punishment but as divine redirection. There comes a moment on the path when the structures of your life begin to crumble. Jobs disappear, relationships dissolve, dreams collapse. Certainties vanish, And the first instinct is fear, a deep, almost existential fear, because everything you thought was you starts falling away. But what if I told you this isn't a failure? What if this is the third sign that your soul is waking up, that you're being realigned with something far greater than the story you've been living? Because spiritual awakening is not comfortable. It's not about incense and crystals. It's about fire. It's about purification. It's about remembering who you are, by first remembering everything you are not. And that process, it requires destruction. The life you built from conditioning must collapse. The roles you accepted out of fear must dissolve. The timelines that belong to your past self must end. Not because they were wrong, but because they're no longer true. You are being invited to something higher. But to rise, you must first release. And that release often comes disguised as chaos. You lose people. You lose plans. You lose stability. And the ego screams, "Why is this happening to me?" But the soul whispers, "It's not happening to you. It's happening for you." This is sacred disintegration. In Tibetan mysticism, the bardo is the space between death and rebirth, a void where identity dissolves. And maybe that's where you are, not who you were, not yet who you're becoming, just in between, raw, exposed, uncertain. And in that uncertainty, you meet your essence. Because when all else is stripped away, what remains is truth. And your truth can't be built over lies, so the lies must fall. That's why the third sign of spiritual ascension is often a collapse, a forced pause, a sacred death, not of the body, but of the false self. If you're here, if your life has recently broken, I want you to know you're not broken. You're becoming, like a snake shedding its skin, like a seed cracking open, like a phoenix in the ashes. You're not being punished. You're being prepared to live a life of truth, of alignment, of vibration, not of survival. But to step into that, you must stop clinging to what is leaving. Let the job go. Let the version of yourself go. Let the story go, and breathe. Because this collapse, it is actually a doorway into the dimension of your soul. And on the other side of it is the life you forgot you were meant to live. So tell me, has something fallen apart in your life recently? Was it sudden? Was it painful? Was it confusing? Then pause and feel this truth. The universe is not trying to hurt you. It's trying to redirect you, because the version of you that's coming doesn't fit in the life you're leaving behind. Comment below, "I surrender to the collapse." Let this be your signal to the universe that you're ready, that you trust, that you remember. In the next block, we'll enter deeper waters. I'll reveal the fourth sign of ascension, the return of soul memories. When dreams, synchronicities, and déjà vu aren't random at all, they're messages from the version of you that never forgot. Have you felt it lately? A strange memory that doesn't belong to this life. A sudden pull toward a place you've never been. A dream so vivid, it felt more real than your waking world. That is the fourth sign. When soul memories begin to return, the veil between lifetimes starts to thin. You begin to remember things you never learned. You recognize faces you've never seen. You feel a love for a pain, with no explanation in this timeline. And this is not fantasy, it's soul recognition, because your soul is eternal. And when it begins to awaken, it doesn't just wake up in the present, it reaches back and pulls forward fragments of who you've been. Why? Because in order to ascend, you must reclaim your full self, and parts of you are still living in forgotten lifetimes. Not to be trapped by them, not to relive their pain, but to retrieve their power, to bring back the knowledge, the love, the codes you left behind. These memories arrive softly, in dreams, in symbols, in sudden emotions. You might be walking down the street and feel a wave of sadness you can't explain, or hear a melody and burst into tears. And your mind says, "This doesn't make sense." But your soul says, "You've been here before." And you have. You are not new. You are ancient. And in this lifetime, you're remembering not just to heal, but to complete, to finish what was left open, to forgive what was never forgiven, to release what still holds your energy captive. This is the moment of retrieval, and it is sacred, because soul memories don't return just to inform you. They return to transform you, to show you what you're still carrying. to remind you what you're still afraid of, to help you close the loop, so you can finally be free. But here's the truth. Not every memory will be light. Some will carry grief, others guilt, some will show you your power, others will show you how you once misused it, but all of it is necessary, because you can't fully ascend while parts of your energy are still trapped in old roles, old vows, old identities. And that's what this fourth sign is asking. Can you welcome back your soul fragments and without judgment? Can you feel the memory and not run? Can you hold space for who you've been and still choose to become someone new? That is mastery, because healing is not about deleting the past. It's about remembering it with light and letting that light rewrite your vibration. Have you had any experiences like this? Dreams that repeat? Faces you can't forget? Places that feel like home but you've never visited? You're not alone, and you're not imagining it. You are remembering, and every soul that remembers lights the way for others to do the same. Comment below, I welcome my soul memories. Let the universe know you are open to remember, open to feel, open to transform. And in the next block, we'll go deeper still. Because remembering the soul is only part of the journey. What comes next is the fifth sign of spiritual awakening, when you stop searching for truth and begin to embody it. There comes a point in the journey when seeking loses its urgency, not because you found all the answers, but because you've realized something deeper. The truth was never out there. It was always in you, waiting, silent, alive. And this is the fifth sign. You no longer chase teachings, teachers, or titles. You don't need to collect more spiritual concepts. You've read the books, you've walked the paths, you've questioned everything. And now, you are ready to become the truth. This is where everything shifts, because the soul that's awakening starts to feel that the ultimate wisdom is not something to understand, it's something to embody. You begin to walk differently, not because someone told you how to walk, but because your energy shifted. You begin to speak less and listen more. Not because you're unsure, but because you've learned that truth doesn't need to convince anyone. You start honoring your body, not out of fear, but out of reverence. And most of all, you begin to trust your own frequency, because at this stage, the real test is not knowledge, it's alignment. Can you live what you know? Can you carry the light when no one is watching? Can you hold your center when the world around you is spinning? That is embodiment, and it's more rare than you think. Because many speak about truth, few can hold it in the silence of everyday choices. This fifth sign often brings a strange kind of loneliness. You look around and see everyone still searching. You feel their hunger for answers, for labels, for identities, and yet inside you and something has quieted. Not because you're better, not because you're done, but because you've stopped running. You've become the still point, the observer, the frequency. It doesn't mean you have no questions, but your questions have changed. You no longer ask, who am I? You ask, how can I serve from who I already am? You no longer ask, where do I belong? You ask, how can I bring presence wherever I am? And you begin to feel something sacred. The truth is not just light, it's love. Not romantic love, not performative love, but divine coherence, the kind that doesn't need to be explained, only felt. And here's what no one tells you. When you reach this point, you become invisible to some. Friends drift away, jobs stop resonating, old passions dissolve, and it's okay. You're not fading, you're refining, you're not disappearing. You're becoming more precise in your vibration, and that's why this sign is one of the final stages. Because once you embody truth, there's no going back. You see through the illusions, you feel the weight of every word. You can no longer betray your inner knowing, not even a little. And sometimes, that's terrifying. Because it means letting go of everything that is out of alignment, but it's also liberating. Because finally, you're no longer reacting to life. You're creating from your essence. And that is the deepest power of all. If you felt this shift, this silence, this simplicity, this surrender, comment below, I am living the truth. Because when one soul lives in coherence, it sends ripples through the entire field. You're not here to convince, you're here to become. Worse, and now we arrive at the sixth and final sign, the one no one talks about, the one that marks the true end of reincarnation. In the next block, we'll uncover the hidden final test that decides whether a soul stays or returns again. At the very end of the journey, there is no noise, no signs in the sky, no mystical voices. There is only silence. A silence so vast that the soul hears itself clearly for the first time. And in that silence, a final test appears. Not as a punishment, but as a mirror that reflects one last illusion, the illusion that kept the soul bound for lifetimes, the need to return, to save, to fix, to belong. Many souls walk entire lives chasing their purpose, but very few discover the deepest truth. You don't need to do anything to be free. You only need to choose, not from fear, not from guilt, not even from love that clings, but from stillness, from a presence so anchored that it no longer trembles at the world's chaos. At this stage, the soul has already surrendered the roles. It no longer needs recognition. It doesn't seek applause for its awakenings. It doesn't argue. It doesn't convince. It simply is. But here's the paradox. Right before true liberation, the soul is offered one last invitation to stay. It often comes wrapped in beauty, a child's laughter, a partner's eyes filled with longing, a collective not yet ready to wake up. And the soul is tempted, not by ego but by compassion. This is the final crossroad, because that compassion, noble and luminous, can become a chain, a golden chain, but a chain nonetheless. The awakened soul may whisper, "If I don't stay, who will help them? If I go now, will they be lost? If I leave, will they think I abandoned them?" And in that moment, the soul must remember, true love never binds, it liberates. Not everyone is meant to awaken now. Not everyone wants to. And that is sacred. You are not here to carry anyone. You are here to embody what you remembered and trust that your light will ripple, even in your silence. When you no longer need to stay, but choose to stay in full awareness without attachment, you are free. That is the last door. And the only key is your vibration. The universe doesn't measure your worth by how much you suffered or how many wounds you healed. It feels your resonance, your alignment, your clarity. And when your vibration is stable in truth, you become untouchable. Not because nothing hurts you, but because you no longer identify with the pain. You become a bridge, a living portal, a silent guardian. And eventually, when even that role dissolves, the soul steps back from the stage completely, not to escape, but to merge. Merge with the timeless, with the origin, with the all. And from there, it no longer reincarnates. It emanates. Its essence becomes part of the current that helps other souls remember. So if you've felt that strange calling lately, if you've been sensing that your time here has another texture, if you've caught yourself crying without knowing why, or remembering things you never lived, maybe it's because your soul is near the final threshold. But remember, being ready doesn't mean rushing. It means honoring each breath as sacred. It means walking softly, as if every step plants a frequency. If something in this video stirred something ancient within you, leave a comment. I'm choosing to remember in silence, not for the algorithm, not even for us, but as a symbolic act, to seal the truth your soul already knew. And if this video hugged you from the inside, click like to leave your energy here. Subscribe to keep walking with us. This isn't just a channel, it's a memory field, a gathering place for souls that no longer fit the noise of the world. This may be your last life, or maybe not. But what matters is how you live this one. Let it be your most conscious, your most coherent, your most luminous. Thank you for remembering with us. And now, if you feel ready, choose your next step. Click one of the videos on the screen, not with your mind, but with your intuition. One of them may carry the missing piece you didn't know you were looking for.